How do you grow your private practice, be more efficient and profitable while having a balanced life? That's the question, and this podcast will help give you the answers. My name is Don Pelto. Welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. I first like to welcome you all to the group sessions here for Podiatry Practice Mastery. And the whole purpose of these group sessions are to develop kind of camaraderie and relationship amongst all of us. That's really the main purpose of doing this. And kind of what we're going to do today, I'm going to start with a little 15-minute introduction and talking a little bit about what we hope to do today. Then we're going to go into personal and professional evaluation, and I'll explain a little bit what that is. And then we're going to do that 2021 practice blueprint, and we're going to spend the last 30 minutes. So basically, we have an hour together with each other, okay? And I hope to make it efficient use of your time. And it's not going to be all about me or any one of us, because in podiatry, we're all busy. We're all working right now. I think a lot of you are coming in from your lunchtime. And the real purpose of this is to develop community, because a lot of us are feeling isolated because of COVID. And the other thing is, if you look at a lot of the things that bring me personal joy, and I think many of you, is the time between the lectures when we go to like CME lectures, where we're talking to one another, where we're sharing pearls about practice. And that's what I'm hoping that this is going to be for. We'll be able to share pearls with one another via the Zoom breakout room. So we're going to use the breakout rooms. We're going to kind of talk about a topic, and then we're going to break into breakout rooms with groups of 2 or 3 where we're going to talk to each other. Okay. You may want to know a little bit about me. I'm in private practice here in Worcester, Massachusetts. We have 4 doctors in our practice. I finished residency in 2009, and I've been kind of working ever since. I have an interest in practice management. I've always had it, even since school. And I found that there was just kind of a lack of ability to learn more. And when I was talking to Alan about this, I said, Alan, maybe we could do something on practice management to help develop a community. And he so graciously accepted. And what I've been doing just personally, because I've been kind of missing this, is I've been interviewing people. And those are the interviews that are kind of coming out once a week on the Present podcast or Present website or Podiatry website, where a lot of people have come into this. And so those are going to come out once a week. But this is kind of something to collaborate with that. And so personally, I've been in a local mastermind for about 2 years. And for those of you that don't know what a mastermind is, basically it's a group of people that we get together like once a month, and we talk about like what we're struggling with in our practices and our businesses. And in my mastermind, there's no other podiatrists. So basically we just talk to there's one that owns a physical therapy clinic, Tom, that has part of the small business administration. So he's run a lot of these masterminds. And there's some other people that own other types of businesses. And we just kind of share what we're dealing with, and we give each other a perspective. Okay. It could also be a focused podiatry mastermind, or a group with just podiatrists. And that's what this one is. And basically we may be in the same time zone, we may be in the same city, but we all can kind of help one another. Okay. Another thing that I've been doing for about 6 years is something called Strategic Coach. Basically, it's a place we go and we do this. We meet in groups of like 30 or 40, and we talk about questions, and then we break up into little groups and we talk about it amongst each other. And what's been the most valuable is the small group discussion. And that's where I'm hoping to focus on, is this small group with one another. Okay, so if you guys aren't planning on turning on your video or talking to one another, this might not be a good fit for you, because we are going to divide up into small groups of like 2 or 3, and we're going to have to talk to each other. And I know it might be a little bit kind of getting used to each other, but we've done it before, but that's the whole focus. I want to lay that out straight away from the beginning. That's what we're going to be doing. Okay. A few housekeeping items. What I'm hoping for you guys to get out of this is community. Okay. First of all, more kind of some efficiency topics, some profitability aspects, and then some leadership. Okay, because all of us, we have to do all of those things. And a few of the housekeeping things, this can only hold 100 people with this Zoom. 100's a big number. I don't know eventually if it'll shrink down, if we're going to have a group that are interested monthly in doing this. I would love for your feedback afterwards. Hey, Don, that sucked, or that was great, or you should do this, or I would recommend this, or this has worked really well for me. Once again, that's the whole idea of community. And if you're talking to these people one-on-one and you want to share email or message about how you're doing or contact them afterwards, I think that's what it's about, is developing this community amongst us. Okay. We're going to be recording this, but we're not going to record the small group sessions. Okay, so the small group sessions that we're going to be in, all of it's private, all of it's confidential. What we're going to be talking about here, and I'm going to give examples with my own life to make it a little bit easier, and that'll be recorded. And so you guys don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Okay. Any questions? Just kind of starting out with that introduction. You guys can use the group chat too if you prefer. But I know I was talking to Tom a little bit about this, and Tom, he's had a lot of experience. So I'd like to transfer it a little bit to Tom. And Tom Harold, he's done a lot of these. There's a couple of groups called Vistage that he's worked with, and different types of masterminds. So Tom, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with kind of a group setting like this, or a mastermind setting? In your experience, what works really well, and tell us your experience.
Well, I sure can, Don. Thanks very much for inviting me. First thing I want to tell everybody in the group, if you don't know Don that well, one thing I have to say is he's inspiring because he's got an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. And anytime that I find that you can hitch your wagon to somebody like him, you're guaranteed to learn more. And that's the idea behind having group meetings like this. I was an Air Force guy and for many years, and one of the requirements is to get your degrees. Well, I got mine in business, and that gave me a big boost and an interest in learning business. So I left the Air Force active duty and started my first business, and 3 businesses later, I was pretty cocky because I was successful and having a lot of fun. And I thought I had the world by the tail until I joined my first, what was called a 20 group. And it was nothing more than like this, a peer group. And you would meet basically every quarter, and you would get together and you realize that, you know what, you're not as good as you thought you were. There's a lot of good operators out there that can really be very good at their practice and their skill. And it was a humbling event for me. But what I learned quickly is that the education I was receiving was much more valuable than anything that I had learned in school or even with hands-on experience. I was learning from other people, lessons learned and best practices. And I was basically able to use them as a measuring stick to determine my own success. Now, the cool thing about that is, instead of just looking at it from a competitive perspective, because the competition was myself driving myself to be a better operator, I would learn on how to be a better leader and basically how to hold one another accountable. If I would say in this group that this is important to me, or I wanted to learn about this, or I was going to lead my team to accomplish this, when I would get together with this group, they would hold me accountable to what I say I was going to achieve. And I tell you, that by itself was a tremendous learning opportunity for me. So I can't speak highly enough about the power of a peer group, whether it be through a mastermind group or like Vistage, which I moderated for Vistage, where we had CEOs from a variety of backgrounds and so forth. The dynamic is the same. The recipe is the same, where you get together, and the idea is to be able to be candid with one another, work on leadership, having educational examples and opportunities, but having that open dialogue with one another where you can be frank and candid about how you're doing as an operator, how you're doing in this case as a practice. And I was intrigued by this with what Don was telling me. I don't think that personally that medical professionals have the opportunity to be able to have these peer group opportunities with one another as businesses, as business owners. Your practices are businesses, no matter how you might look at it. But if you think of it from that perspective as how do I become a better professional, you're going to find that the training and the opportunity to learn is invaluable. And I'll close out with the thought is, no matter what the profession is, knowledge is power. And the more we know the more, the better we're going to be at whatever venture we take off on.
Great. Thank you, Tom, for that introduction. He's had a lot of experience, and we were trying to do our own little mastermind group of just people that are interested in business. And it kind of floundered until Tom started, and he just kind of gave us some direction. So I want to be very upfront with what Tom said. I don't think any of us know it all. I think some people appear like they have all the knowledge, and that's what really good marketing is, right? Really good marketing, it makes you appear that you know the best. I don't think any of us know the most about podiatry, about plantar fasciitis, about anything. We all corporately, connectively, we all know and can learn a lot more, because I do things a little bit different than the other podiatrists do. And we can all learn. And that's what we do at these conferences. And even in a practice where we have partners, sometimes we don't have that freedom to even take a little bit of time to discuss, these things. So we're going to start with this first section here. And this is a section that in our personal mastermind, we do every week or every month we get together. It's called personal and professional evaluation. And we're a little bit ahead of time. And I think it's always better to run ahead than it is behind. And so we're going to spend the next 15 minutes talking about personally and professionally. Well, why personal and professional? Because we're not going to just talk about being podiatrists, because if your life is really, really bad and things are going really, really bad in your personal life, it's going to affect your professional life or your life as a doctor. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give an example. I'm going to open myself up. I took some notes this morning, about 2 or 3 minutes, and I wrote those down. And then I'm going to ask you guys, if you have like a piece of paper, or if you want to type on your computer, kind of write down how you're doing personally and how you're doing professionally. And I'm actually going to open up a poll. I'm going to launch the poll here so you guys can take a look at that if you want. And you're not going to know what it quite means yet. You don't have to fill it out quite yet, but it's going to be all anonymous. And it has here, how are you doing personally and professionally? And you can notice that there's no number 7 there. And the reason is number 7 is like it's the cop-out method of doing it. Okay. So if you're a little bit better than 7 or a little bit under 7, how you're doing both personally and professionally. And so I'm going to start with myself. Okay. So as we would do it in our own personal one, we're going to do this one-on-one with each other or 2 on 3 or something like that. Okay. When we do the breakout sessions in a minute or so. So for me, Tom would ask me, hey, Don, how are you doing? And I would say, well, personally, I'm going to put myself at an 8. And professionally, I'm going to put myself at a 9. And then I kind of have to quantify that. Well, why am I feeling that? So personally, we had a getaway last weekend, and we took some time away with the family. It was kind of a nice time. We went hiking in Western Mass. That's personally good. Another fun thing personally is I started to drink bulletproof coffee. And basically that's where I put like MCT oil and butter and everything in my coffee in the morning. And I used to use coconut oil, but it tastes really bad. So I put this MCT oil and it kind of tastes better now. So that's kind of a neat thing personally. And then starting in the new year, I don't go to the gym anymore. I do this like, what's it called? This beach body thing at home. And so I have a guy from my coaching group or my mastermind group. We have a little competition where we're going to do insanity together, which is basically a workout thing. So personally, those are kind of fun things, kind of excite me, and then professionally, I'm a 9. And basically I'm a 9 because I'm really honored that all these these videos are going out that I put all this time interviewing and other people can learn from them. Like the one that went out, I'm excited. I did 2 interviews yesterday. One was with Ira Kraus, past APMA president, and then Tyson Franklin, who's another kind of a coaching guy. And it was kind of a neat thing to do. I'm excited to learn about this new website that we put together. So that's kind of a fun thing. And then we have a new we have a radial shockwave. You've had that for a couple of years. We got a new focal shockwave. So I'm kind of excited and a little intimidated about getting used to using that. And then I've been doing a lot of this new little procedure, OniFix. I kind of like these little procedures I can do in the office. So this is me personally and professionally. Once again, it's not about me, but I just wanted to give you guys an example of how you're going to rank yourself. So I'd like you to all rank yourself right now. And once you guys finish that poll, then we're going to go into our breakout rooms. The next thing we're going to talk about is the 2021 Practice Evaluation Blueprint. That's just a funny name for evaluating how last year went. Okay. I don't know. A lot of us, we don't have time to sit back and evaluate how we did last year. I don't know if a lot of us have that habit, kind of pulling it all together from residency. One of the things one of my attendings taught me in residency is after I did a surgery and I was basically riding the handlebars, right? I wasn't doing anything. He said, Don, what you should do is you should replay it in your mind and what you would do different. And I think that whole idea of replaying and kind of evaluating how we do. And even when I do surgery now, I kind of replay and evaluate, well, kind of what worked, what didn't work, and what would I do different next time. I think that's a very powerful habit. And it's even more powerful when we do it together with other people. So this next step is going to be, we're going to evaluate last year, and then we're going to kind of push it forward and see kind of what maybe we could do different next year in our practices. And this is where we're going to spend the bulk of our time, okay, today. So I'm going to, once again, it's kind of a vulnerable thing, but I'm going to be very open, and I'm going to use my personal experience as an example. Okay. And if anyone else wants to pop in, you can. Okay. So once again, I wrote this out, and I would recommend you guys, while I'm talking, take a piece of paper out and write like what's working, what's not working, and what you would do different if you could do it over again. And then maybe a plan. That's what I do. And I do this for a lot of things. It's a mental process. I do it for surgery. What worked, what didn't work, what am I going to do different in the next surgery? I do it with my kids. I do it with a lot of things. Okay. So I'm going to start with our practice, and this isn't I have to give an example. Unless someone else want to do it live? Anyone else want to be the guinea pig? If not, I'll be the guinea pig here. So for me, in 2020, what worked? We hired a 4th doctor. Okay. We're opening up a second office about 30 miles away, 20 to 30 miles away. Okay. I started this new technology that I like doing, this OniFix. I like all these new little procedures. I started to do these interviews on different podiatrists just to learn more and get to know different people. I started to use Fancy Hands, which is basically a virtual assistant to do kind of video editing and help me with my videos that I send to my patients. And we started to do some live events with webinars with our clinic. So basically in our clinic, every couple of months, we do a topic, let's say plantar fasciitis, and we do a little webinar very similar to this. Basically, we share slides and then we each kind of divide up what we're going to talk about amongst the 4 of us. And that's been really fun because we send it out to our whole list of patients, let's say, 3,000, 5,000 patients. And then we have like 30 or 40 patients come together about a topic like plantar fasciitis or Achilles tendonitis. That's been a real fun thing to do. And I can share, if anyone wants to know, I can share more about how to do that. It's pretty simple. And then improvements, what didn't work? Let me tell you what didn't work. Our new doctors aren't as busy, right? So how do we increase that? I wanted to play around with AdWords. If you're not familiar, AdWords is where you pay Google to send you certain types of patients. I'm just not very good at that. I don't know how to do it. It's kind of confusing. I've thrown some money at it with my website, but I didn't really see the results with it. Okay. So that's something I'd like to learn more about. And another thing I was reading about, when I'm not really sure how to do it, is where some people, they talk about packaging your treatments together. For example, I think plantar fasciitis is really confusing. I don't have like packages of like, oh, you can do radial, you can do focal, you can do orthotics, you can do cortisone, you can do amnio. Like there's a lot of things, and it's not really clear in my mind, like how to package things very well to help my patients more, make it clearer for them. I think I cause a lot of confusion for my patients sometimes. So those are the things I want to improve. So basically I want to read a book on AdWords. I want to learn from other people of how to do like the packaging type of stuff. And I want to kind of help grow my practice for my young doctors, the younger doctors that are starting out, and for all of us to get busier. Because what can happen when you have a new doctor is it takes away from me, right? Because I was super busy, then another younger doctor, and then they get the new patients because the staff want to fill up their schedule. And so that's kind of an issue that happens sometimes. So that's kind of my year. And we're going to go a little bit more into depth, but that's what we're going to do now. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of break out into rooms again. And I think we can just keep those same rooms that we had before because you're already familiar with each other.